Everybody seems to be rushing to claim they've got the biggest charging hub in the country, like the number of chargers at a given location is actually something that people are going to give them a great accolade for. But for now at least, BP Pulse have actually done it here at the NEC near Birmingham. 180 cars can charge on site here simultaneously, which is staggering. Now, let's clear that up a little bit though. There are 150 7 kilowatt chargers in the car park just behind me, and then there are 15 150 kilowatt rapid chargers that can all charge 2 cars at once. So, maybe not quite as impressive as some other installations, but I think exactly what you need here. If you're coming to the NEC, you're probably going to be here all day, so parking in the car park, plugging in to a 7 kilowatt charger is absolutely perfect. You'll be fully charged by the time you're finished at your conference or your show, whatever you're here for, and you'll be on your way with a full battery. Everybody's happy. You didn't actually have to wait for your car to charge because it charged whilst you did something else, and you're on your way. But we're a stone's throw away from the M42 and the M6, so if you need to just stop for a top-up on your way, it's also ideal for that, and that's what I'm doing at the moment. I plugged into one of these rapid chargers and we're just topping up. There's a drive-through Starbucks just behind me that's been built as part of this hub as well, which is ideal if you need your caffeine fix or a quick bite to eat. I think they have absolutely nailed it. Now, I didn't think BP Pulse was going to be the name that would come to mind when I was talking about one of the biggest, newest, fanciest rapid charging hubs in the country. They certainly aren't known for it thus far. Unfortunately, actually got quite a bad reputation thus far for reliability. I think quite a lot of people have them really quite far down the list of networks that they would use on a journey. But I think when you've got this many chargers available, it's hard to go wrong, isn't it? I mean, I think we always say if you want to ensure a sort of stress-free journey in an EV, pick a site to charge that's got as many chargers as possible, because if one isn't working, the chances are they won't all be broken. And then, so, you know, the worst nightmare is when you've got one in a hotel car park somewhere and that doesn't work, and where you've got to drive somewhere else. But here, given there are 30 connectors, I think you'll be quite all right. Now, most of these units here are dual CCS, but there are some that are 2 CCS and 1 CHAdeMO. But there's only 2 parking bays in front of it, so I assume with those ones as well, they still only charge 2 cars at a time. So you have a CCS car and the CHAdeMO car charging simultaneously. But it's nice to see BP are still supporting CHAdeMO. I'll need to have a look and see how many actually CHAdeMO connectors there are. So the unit next to me where I'm sat, I can see a CHAdeMO connector because it has 3, it's 2 CCS and a CHAdeMO in the middle for its 2 parking bays. So it does look like CHAdeMO is still on the agenda, but then the unit I'm using is just dual CCS, and the one I can see someone else using is dual CCS as well. So it seems that, like other operators, they're recognising the fact that CHAdeMO is sort of fading away and they're reducing the number of connectors that they're offering, but thankfully they haven't completely scrapped it. So if you have a Leaf and you need to charge, it is a good place to charge. We have a canopy above these chargers. Everybody's always screaming out for a canopy, and they've definitely listened to those suggestions, so it's good, I guess. I mean, it's roasting hot at the moment. There's no sign of any rain at all, so in terms of weather protection, it's not really doing much for me at the moment while I'm here, but a lot of the time, if you know, it rains an awful lot in this country, and to be able to plug your car in without getting absolutely soaked is very welcome indeed. So good job to BP, I think, so far. As for the pricing, well, that's it does sting a little bit. So I've got a BP Pulse subscription at the moment through BMW Charging for the i3, and I've got the card for that. You saw me starting this charger using that card. And so that makes it a little bit cheaper, but I think the walk-up rate is like 85 pence per kilowatt hour or something like that. So it is not cheap, and unfortunately that seems to be quite a common theme at the moment with public rapid charging, is that although the wholesale cost of electricity is coming down, we don't seem to have seen much of a reduction in the cost at public chargers, apart from, of course, on the Tesla supercharger network, where things are getting quite interesting indeed. Now, I'm not too worried about the cost of the charging. I mean, I'd rather we were seeing more sites like this being built, and if the higher rates are what it needs to encourage that investment and get us these facilities that we need, then I'm kind of all for that. But I do recognise that if you're not just an occasional user of public charging, and you can't charge at home, for instance, you rely on public charging, then the cost is something you'll be very, very sensitive to. And it is an issue that costs just seem to be rising. I do hope that we'll see things start to fall a little bit. I think that the utilisation rates rising, which they will be with EV adoption, will help them with that as well. So the more the chargers are used, because let's be honest, it must cost an absolute fortune to have some of these sites just sat empty. I think that must be one of the biggest problems the operators have. You've got these huge sites, and a lot of the time they're just not being used. Yes, at peak times it'll be absolutely full, and even a big site like this could be full with people waiting, but most of the time it's pretty dead. I mean, there's a handful here charging right now, in fairness. It's not completely dead, and it's 8 o'clock on a Saturday night. So it's not completely dead. There are people here, there are people charging. There's a Kia EV6 just about to leave, who's only been here for 5 or 10 minutes, and that shows how much faster his car charges than this one. That's one thing with the Zoe. Yes, it's got CCS, but we're only seeing it's a 40 kilowatt-ish. That's where it tops out at. So it's not fast at charging, unlike some of these cars that are here at the moment that are a bit newer and a bit more capable in terms of their charging curve. So I'll be here for a good bit longer. But I definitely think this changes the game, and I think more so for the low to 7 kilowatt chargers. I think if you're going to visit the NEC, that's exactly what you need here. I don't actually, yeah, the Rapids are great, don't get me wrong, they're great. It's a really good position for them to be in, near the motorway, but I don't think that's the real game changer here. I think the mass deployment of 7 kilowatt chargers, the fact there's 150 of them, so 150 cars can park here and charge. I think prior to that, the entire NEC complex, which has multiple car parks, I think had a total of about 12 7 kilowatt chargers for the entire lot, because each car park had like 2 or 3 in it or something like that, and you had to book them in advance, and you know, chances are you weren't going to get one. Here you still need to book in advance if you want to use one of those, I believe, because I think you book the parking space and you park there all day, but you've got a much higher chance of actually managing to get a charger in this dedicated car park. So I think that is the real game changer for me. I think Rapids, yeah, they're great, very welcome, but we need more of this kind of destination charging, and venues like this where people are all day, that's exactly what you need. I did see some people though, when the news about this broke, that it was here, saying, well, actually having the Rapids there at all is pointless. And I don't agree with that, because we are very close to the motorway. It's a perfect place to have the Rapids here as well, for people that are just stopping by just to charge and to grab a coffee. That for sure is the way to go. BP Pulse has overstay charges on the Rapids, so you're not gonna park up here, plug in, and then go to the NEC all day. You're definitely not going to do that, because the bill you're going to end up with is going to be huge. So you would definitely use one of the 7 kilowatt chargers. So I think it's good. I don't think there is any sort of criticism can be laid at the fact they've installed Rapids here, because actually it probably generates enough revenue as well to help the viability of the whole site. So I think it's great. I think it's brilliant. But this was just a little bit of an introduction to the current biggest charging hub in the UK. BP Pulse are calling this a giga hub. I don't know what that's all about, but that's what they're branding their bigger charging hubs as. And I think it's brilliant. I think it's really good to see. Hopefully we'll see many more of them. I know that people moan about BP, but at the end of the day, if they're going to roll out more stuff like this, then I definitely want to see it. You know, I think hopefully they're going to start turning themselves around in terms of reliability and availability, and you know, stuff like this is a really good start, isn't it? The Alpitronic hardware that they're deploying here is known for being reliable, and it was very, very easy to get the charge started and stuff, so it seems very good indeed. But that's all for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think. Would you use this facility if you were in the area, if you were either visiting the NEC or travelling nearby and needed to stop? What do you think? Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.